Morning, I'm Andrew Eklund. I'm the founder of Cicerone, and we wanted to do a bit of an overview of what employee advocacy is all about. Really what it is providing a guidance and a framework to allow people from across the organization to have a voice, and to really have a voice that is trustworthy and believable. So there's a certain amount of humility that we as marketers have to take, and that is that in an employee advocacy world, our job is really to connect people from inside the organization to the outside. All right, I want to welcome to the stage Jeff Stender from 3M and Melissa Chung from Molson Coors.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I started off at Molson Coors a couple of years ago, so about 4 years now. And I started in the brand marketing side of things. However, at that time, I kind of lived within the corporate world. And then over the last couple of years, we've definitely kind of stepped up and really built that social kind of platform internally. And so we've grown, and now I'm back in the corporate space. And I have a bit of some of the global responsibilities in terms of making sure, we have our best practices across the enterprise. And then that was kind of how I stumbled across this idea of employee advocacy probably a little over a year ago now when we started our journey. And we actually just, we did a pilot that ran pretty long, and that was because we wanted to kind of hit up a bunch of the business units all at once. And we officially launched a few months ago, so mid-October-ish. So I've got some exciting things that I was hoping to share with you guys.
We started our employee advocacy program in January of this year as a way to help facilitate the launch of a new content program that we started called the 3M Newsroom. We brought in about half a dozen journalists from around the country to tell the stories of 3M and how our brand intersects with people's lives on a day-to-day basis in ways that they may not realize. And the key point, or the one word that we use when we talk about the content that our team creates is authenticity. And with that, our Chief Communications Officer demanded that we tap out all of our earned media opportunities in addition to looking at what paid would look like. So earned media is continuing to be broad, and this employee advocacy program was something that we really needed to test out in order to have our own 3Mers and employees start to tell the story of our company.
So how did you decide or even learn about employee advocacy as an option?
It kind of stemmed from an idea of, well, how do we amplify some of our social marketing efforts that we've been doing? So our employees are always kind of asking for it, but not everybody is in marketing, obviously, with access to all of that stuff. Not everybody knows where to go. We've got hundreds and hundreds of channels. So, sometimes we might do something on Twitter, and people aren't on Twitter, so they're not seeing that great content. So it stems from that idea of how do we amplify and make sure that our employees are seeing all of it without, sending them an email every time a really great piece of content goes out.
So 3M is known as having a culture of collaboration in its technical community, and that has moved over to the business side as well. And as we were looking to roll out this newsroom initiative, I was talking with a couple folks in marketing and human resources. And we talked about the idea of really socializing this newsroom concept internally. They were talking about their needs for recruitment. On the marketing side, there's some exciting things that are coming up with 3M. And when we mentioned employee advocacy, it was just two words. And I can't remember if it was Deirdre or Michelle that said, "Oh, what technology platform are you looking at?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And so she said, "Well, here are a bunch of things that we can do." And through the course of conversations with Andrew, we became much more educated on how we could really put this thing together. So it was very organic, and it was very intuitive that this is a very authentic way to talk about what we're doing and to really allow for people internally to talk about it as well.
How have you had to sort of evangelize that internally?
Well, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, they're doing it anyways. So why not mitigate some of that risk that exists there, provide a bit of training and some of that value add back to the employees so that they're not doing, quote unquote, stupid things online. And then in addition to that, what's in it for the employees aside from helping kind of push your company messaging or your promos and all that great stuff that you have, if it doesn't affect their role, is one, generally we like to think that whatever company you work for, you're passionate about. And I think at Molson Coors, we've been really lucky that most of the people that we work with genuinely love the brands that we have and love the beer industry itself. So that was a very easy check mark for us. And then in addition to those, who didn't use social, it's like, well, I don't use social, like I don't care about that stuff. What we were told them was, this is kind of the new way of life, and what Molson Coors is going to do for you as a value add is teach you how to utilize that to benefit yourself from both a professional and a personal standpoint. So you don't know how to use social, we'll teach you how to use social, and here's how you can grow your own networks. And then figuring out what those little kind of proof points are for each kind of role or department. Why would sales guys care about this? Why would marketing? Why would HR? So it's like, as Jeff had mentioned, there's some really great recruitment or social recruitment opportunities that exist within employee advocacy. And so we kind of started off with that vein and tried to take a more positive approach versus a very negative.
Take approved content and fill the pipeline of opportunity so that people who were desperate to talk about our organization and people that we could find who were already doing it were able to do so using their own voice, but directing people towards brand experiences that were approved and relevant.
At Molson Coors, we're very lucky in the sense that our corporate culture kind of allowed for that sociability. However, there are going to be detractors in the business who don't feel, that we should be talking about things. So an example of that would be, if we want to drive some excitement along a pre-launch, and there might be others in the business who are like, no, that should be a well-kept secret until, we're ready to reveal. And so I think that's always going to be an ongoing battle. However, I think the very first question you kind of need to ask yourself as a business too, before considering an employee advocacy program, is does being social make sense? And I know that sounds very weird because you would think everything is very, very social, but when there are regulations at play and things like that, it does complicate things a lot.
I think there's a combination of finding the people who have the really incredible stories to tell, which oftentimes aren't the people who are most vocal, and then marrying that up with the people who have a lot of social and communication savvy and a lot of good reputation, and allow them to help amplify the stories of what we see as a bigger picture, something broader.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Please stick around if you like, and thanks again.